With this video, we enter into the heart of the Odyssey 314 approach, since I will present you the three components of a business model. But let's first understand the origins of this concept. The term business model was reserved for the information technology sectors in the 1970s. It became more widespread with the emergence of e-business at the end of the 90s. At that time, the internet offered the opportunity to create radically innovative businesses, and startups had to explain to investors, such as venture capitalists, how they would eventually make money with this new thing called the internet. So they used the word business model to describe what their company was doing and how this would turn into a profit. The use of the term gradually spread to more traditional companies, and today the term business model is commonplace, and its use is broadening despite the burst of the internet bubble, a world to which it is still often closely associated. Indeed, the business model is proving to be a valuable tool for strategic reflection, and this is how we will use it in Odyssey 314. There are actually many definitions of a business model, and therefore several frameworks have been developed by academics or consultants to help describe a business model. In fact, when discussing about business models with someone, you should really clarify whether this person has in mind the same definition as yours or not. We define the business model as a description of how a company generates profit, how it makes money. You can pause this video and think about how you would describe this mechanism for any company of your choice. You probably came up with different items as components of a business model. To describe a business model, we are using a very simple framework that we have developed in Odyssey 314. This framework revolves around three pillars: the value proposition, the value architecture, and the profit equation. Let's depict each of those components. First, the value proposition. This first pillar describes the offer proposed to the client. The who, the client in a very broad sense, to whom the company intends to sell. The what, the products or services proposed by the company. And the price. The second component of our framework is the value architecture. This pillar is related to the how, the manner in which the company creates and delivers the value proposition to the client. It describes both the major tasks, called the value chain, the resources that can be tangible and intangible, and the key competencies used to deliver the value proposition to the client. The third and last component is the profit equation. This third pillar explains the origin of profitability. The profit equation stems from two previous components. If I make it very simple at this stage, if you have a very good value proposition, it will generate revenues, in other words, sales. That is the first line in my profit and loss statement in my P&L. On the other hand, remember, the value architecture depicts how the company is organized. This explains the cost structure, but also what is called the capital employed. Capital employed are fixed assets, the machines, the trucks that I need to run my business, but also what is called the working capital. If you're not familiar with those terms, don't worry, we will dedicate specific time to this topic. For now, just focus on a general understanding of the profit equation. So the profit equation represents the financial implications of the two previous pillars. It is just a way of looking at the two previous components with financial glasses. Again, the value proposition explains the revenues, the value architecture explains the cost structure and the capital employed. The overall message of the business model is that value proposition and value architecture need to be aligned in order to create a profit. It is very easy for a company to be low price. Price is something that the company decides upon. However, if the company seeks a profit, it then needs to be really low cost, which is very difficult to achieve. Value architecture and value proposition need to be aligned. So this was the presentation of the three pillars of the business model, which are at the heart of the Odyssey 314 approach.